As for what we had last week, uh, we don't have actually a curve for each test, but what we do, we try to compare it to the last curve of Oxford because the curve on it is being done. Oxford do it all over the world, so according to the marks for students all over the world. So to make it for just like 5 groups and each group of 10 students, it wouldn't be that really accurate. But what we do, we count the mark and we try to find it if it's out of 200, like reading, listening, speaking, writing. So what would it be? And according to the curve of Oxford, we say that you scored 9 or 8 and so on. Let me tell you that 9 and 8, both of them are star. So A star, 9 and 8, it's A star as well when it comes to Oxford in English for Egypt. 7, it's A, 6, it's B, and so on. So I would say right now, the names of students who scored the 9 for this trial. So as we mentioned before, good job, Hajar. It's the highest mark, and of course it's 9. But also we have some other students scored 9. So good job to you, Muhammad Ahmad Rashwan. Again, we have Rimata, good job, excellent. Muhammad Ala Rashdan, amazing, it's a 9 again. Some students scored 8, which is considered as A star as well for this test. So I would say Omar Wali and Fatima, excellent work. 8, it's considered as a star. But we can work on to make it 9, inshallah, later. For all of you, whether you were scoring 9 or 8 or whatsoever, what we care about, it's the first test that we take according to the schedule. We had a test before, it was on idioms, and the test that we had before on idioms, it's actually just supplementary test that helps you with writing. So when it comes to writing informal email letter or blog writing, you will be able to use these idioms. But you wouldn't have in the exam itself, like asking you about what is the meaning of this idiom or whatever, except if it came reading, but rarely it could happen. But we took it for this. And of course, we take tests not only for the 4 skills, but we take tests, supplementary ones, to help us to see where we are and the tools that we are using and so on. So we don't do curve, of course, for supplementary tests, but whatever reading, writing, listening, or speaking, we would be doing the curve not for us, but we will do it according to the Oxford, the last trial. Today, inshallah, we would continue. So this is the first point. Another point, as I told you, every week, inshallah, we'll try to find out the best one in this group who gave or submitted his or her work on Tuesday or on time, and also the homework was done in a high quality. If I didn't score 9 or 8 in the first one, does it mean that I'm really lagging behind? I'm not saying this, but it means that we need to work. There are some areas that we need to work on. Maybe I wasn't paying attention much while I was answering. Maybe I don't know how to answer this or that. So it means that, yes, alhamdulillah, we are still, like, I wouldn't say in the beginning we took already like 2.5 months from the course, but I say like we are still in November, so we can work, we can cover whatever happened, but we need to work. We wouldn't delay more. So it means that this area, whether the reading, the listening, or writing later on, and so on. Another point that I wanted to mention, last session, which was Saturday, we dedicated it for the test because actually last week it was all officials. For the students who were taking October, November, they took the official exam of writing on Monday, and some other students were. Okay, so I think Yusuf, you need just to recheck your audio because you are the only one who's not able to hear. So again, I was saying that the last session on Saturday, we dedicated it for the test, but we need to compensate this session. So we might take an extra class this week, inshallah. I will be telling you when exactly we will be taking this. So every session would start with the best homework being given for the session before it. Also, every 3 classes, we will have a test. It won't be on Saturday itself. It will be given to your parents and it will be done under invigilation of your parents and submitted. It should be a test. It doesn't have to be for the 4 skills. It could be for supplementary stuff. It could be just a part of writing, a part of reading, a part of listening. But we will always have a test every 3 classes. This is the other point. Now, my dear, let's continue with the blog writing. Blog writing, we stopped at not last Saturday, it was the Saturday before, like fortnight from now. And we started it, we spoke about where we can find it, and we spoke about the marking criteria, even we analyzed some responses of students. In October, November, the session which was on Monday, as some of you already followed and knew, they didn't bring blog writing. And it's not the first time not to bring the blog writing. This time they brought a type of writing which had never come before. It's the first time for Oxford to bring it. But Allahumma lak alhamd, this type of writing we always cover because it's in the syllabus. So we always cover, even with the students who took last year and so on, we always cover. And we'll cover it with you as well. It's the report writing. I know that some of you already took it in Cambridge, but it's different in Oxford. In Cambridge, you take it subheadings and you need to make it really formal. Semi-formal wouldn't be accepted and so on. And there are some topic-related phrases to be used. But in Oxford, it's a bit different. And it's the first time to bring it. May, June, they didn't bring a blog as well. And they brought in May, June 2025, it was article. So they were double article in task 3 and task 4. But guess what? If you understood the marking criteria, we wouldn't pay much attention to was it written blog writing or article writing or report or review or story or whatsoever. Yes, there are some differences, but those differences, Oxford will not drop you a mark accordingly. Why? Because simply the deal between you and between Oxford, it's not blog or article, it's the marking criteria. And here we say that every time, whenever we start any topic, we have to find out which tasks they come on and what is the marking criteria. For example, one of you, I think it was Reem. Reem was asking me her friends who are with her, who were taking October, November, they went and they found it and they didn't take like preparation for it or whatsoever. So they were asking her what would it be. Reem came back to me, Mr. Would it be accepted from them if it is blog writing or if it was article writing? If they wrote it in this way or that way. Again, it's not about if it's written as blog or article, it's about did you cover the 4 bullet points or not? If you covered the 4 bullet points in a well manner, and if you last 2 bullet points detailed them, so you give details about the last 2 bullet points, if you looked at the question itself, it came for them, task 3, write a report. And this report, you have to write with 4 bullet points about your city, what you enjoy in your city, what you like to add in your city, and so on. But if I'm writing about myself, so of course I'll be using first person point of view. It's a personalization. So it's not that formal, like, for example, if I'm writing a report in Cambridge and so on. Another point, Oxford never gave a sample for report writing, but it is there in the syllabus. So again, if you cover the 4 bullet points well, you give a good introduction, you detailed, you give a wide range of vocab, wide range of structure, and as we said, task 3, it doesn't say wide range, it says wide range of effective vocab and wide range of effective structure. But Mr. What is the difference between wide range of vocab of task 2 and wide range of effective vocab in task 3? Task 2, which is out of 12, when we say wide range of vocab, so do not repeat yourself. Do not repeat the same word many times. But task 3, when it says wide range of effective vocab, so do not repeat and use topic-related vocabulary, which is a bit more advanced. So do not only depend on the simple vocab being used and so on. So you need to use some topic-related vocab. And these words, as we told you in Improving Writing Style, page 65, we told you about the first 3 columns to study them, as we will have a test on them, and it will be surprise test, by the way, not counted from that 3 tests, that test every 3 weeks. This one, it will be a surprise test. Today, inshallah, we'll be adding another column. These vocab, if you use them, they are the effective vocab. By the way, even some of them are considered sophisticated vocab for task 4. So if you studied those words, it would help you for wide range of effective vocab. But Mr. Wide range of effective structure in task 3 and wide range of structure in task 2. The difference here, the word effective. What would be the difference? Task 2, we need simple sentences, compound and complex. But task 3 would speak about some types of structure, like the inversion, like the cleft sentence, and some other types of sentence structure, that once you use them, they are considered sophisticated structure, not only wide range of effective. So using a couple of them in task 3 and the 3 of them in task 4 would guarantee you, but using them well, would guarantee you that you go to the highest band, inshallah, in case if you don't have other mistakes. So, we started the blog writing and we analyzed the last thing that we had last time. If you do remember before the test, it was this page. When we read it, Muhammad Ahmed Zidane and Muhammad Ahmed Rashwan were telling us about the marks students scored and which one was 9 and which one was 16. This task, if it came blog writing, so we would write it as you saw in the same way of the article, by the way, register or the formal or semi-formal and so on, not much being cared about in Oxford. Mr. The other point, if it came diary entry, it never came again. What would be the difference? It would be the same as we mentioned, like the blog, but you would start it with Dear Diary, like if you are writing email or letter. So instead of writing Dear Ahmed or Dear Suha, you would say Dear Diary, comma. Then you would write the same like the blog. And at the end, you would say yours and your name. Yes, you can personalize more because you are writing to yourself. It's a diary, like you would return back to it. But again, it is the same content. 4 bullet points, last 2 develop them well in details, each one in its own paragraph, and the first 2 ones try to cover them. But let's find out with each other right now the differences between blog and between diary. Are they much or not? Let's find out more. If you do not mind, can you please, Omar Wali? Omar Wali, we need the first part, which is the blog writing. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Style and content key features. The tone can be semi-formal or informal depending on the intended purpose and the audience. Example, a travel blog might be chatty to encourage the reader to share fun experiences. It could also be serious if recounting a travel journey through places where there is extreme poverty.
Yeah, so the tone, semi-formal or formal, again, as I told you, we do not really care much in Oxford about the register. Why? Because it's not there in the marking criteria. But we try to write something well. So, for example, I'm writing informal email or letter, so I need some personalization, some idioms, and so on. So we would write it in the perfect way. But would he drop me marks because of this? What is between you and between the examiner? The marking criteria. The marking criteria, did it ask for the register? No, so I wouldn't be asking about this much. Now we are talking about the blog writing. So as excellently Omar told us, it's usually semi-formal. You can even say sometimes informal because you use some idioms and so on, right? And it depends on the topic. We have 3 themes, and some of the themes are more informal than the others. What do you mean? For example, talking about universities and about work and career is a bit different about writing about friends. So, and my favorite mobile network or mobile application or whatsoever. So while you are writing about something really personalized, so it could be less formal. But again, they will not drop you marks for this. Let's continue, Omar. You stopped here the first point. Can you continue? So if the blog is...
If the blog is informal, it is quite personal, written in the first person from the writer's point of view.
So I'm saying, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, what I believe as, so I would be using more of informal, personal, and personalization or personal phrases, like I think, I believe, opinion phrases, and so on. Next one, Omar here, the language can be...
The language can be more creative, literally no fiction. When the writer is publishing their blog, this could be to entertain or to help the reader imagine events and feelings.
Yeah, so it could be more creative. Nonfiction, like I'm telling you some information about something. So nonfiction, it's true information being given. And here publishing about the blog, this could be to entertain. Why am I writing? It depends on the topic. So for example, I'm telling you about my favorite restaurant or whatsoever. So it's usually to entertain, or my favorite book and so on. The tenses can vary, so you can use present while you are writing, and you can use past. It depends on, he asked you about one time you visited a place next to your city. So you are talking about something happened in the past, so you have to use past tenses. But if you are talking about your favorite mobile application, so you still like it. So it would be present. So it depends on the question and the bullet points there. Thank you so much, Omar. So if you do not mind, Yusuf Farad, here we do have the diary entry, which we said it's similar to the blog, but just we would have differences in how we started and how we ended. So if you do not mind, Yusuf.
Yes, Miss.
Yes, can you tell us about the diary entry, the style and the content key features of it? So how should we do
Begin
it?
with begin with the dear diary.
Yes, like if I'm writing informal email or letter. So dear diary and dot continue. Remember?
Yeah. Remember the style and content language is similar to writing an informal friendly letter.
Okay, perfect. So it's I'm writing to myself. The diary, it's always like you are writing some stuff about a day you had or something, so you can return back to it. So this is the other point, which is remember that
Yeah.
it is personal. So you can tell me while
Yeah.
you're writing, as you know, as I told you, and so on.
Yes, use personalizing phrases. Start with an expression of your feelings. I never imagined that, or I had never expected. Later on, include just like last time. As usual, I should remember next time to
Okay, that's
ask
it. Continue. Ask one or two.
ask one or two rhetorical question in between. I wonder why. How can someone? Is it really possible?
Yeah, so you are using some of these rhetorical questions to vary your sentence structure and also to grab the attention of the reader while you are doing it. Sometimes even we can start with the rhetorical questions. What are rhetorical questions, mister? They are questions which do not require a response. I can understand what you want to say without needing to respond. So, for example, when I say, who doesn't want to be the most influential person all over the world? So it means that no one doesn't want. This is what we mean by rhetorical question, a question that actually doesn't want a response to it. So next point as well, Yusuf, if you don't mind to describe briefly. Yusuf, describe briefly.
Yes, sir. Describe briefly what happened to you that day using fixture phrases. I had just started 2 minutes later after the what seemed like ages in the end, according to the question.
I'm writing a diary. So good job, Yusuf. Thank you so much. So I'm writing a diary. So right now, what I'm writing about what happened to me in that day. So I need some sequence phrases. What do you mean by sequence phrases? Words which show you what happened first and what happened later. So these are called time phrases or sequence phrases. Like what here, some examples are given. I had just started to. Then minutes later, after what seemed like ages, in the end, some scenes use the mechanically written words, which are firstly, secondly, thirdly, and these words are really simple. You are going to the IG exam. So I wouldn't be taking the IGCSE exam and using the same words that I used to use when I was in grade 5 or 6. I'm not saying they are wrong, but they wouldn't help you to go to the highest band. You are writing usually, diary writing or the blog writing would come as task 3 or 4. So task 3, he asks for a wide range of effective vocab, and I would write to him firstly and secondly and thirdly. If you use firstly, it's okay, but try to avoid after. But what can I use? Here, some of them. So minutes later, after what seemed like ages, eventually, and so on, right? Thank you so much, Yusuf. So Fatima, if you don't mind, can you give us a help here? So create.
Create interested thought contrast, mixing positive and negative feelings according to the questions.
Yeah. So what do you mean by create interest through contrast? While you are writing, when you give positive word or positive feeling and then negative one, I don't mean only positive and negative, any things which are opposite to each other. So they would create interest of person who is reading. What do I mean by this? For example, I'm describing the place where I live. So I would say, unlike the busy cities, I enjoy the quiet, calm atmosphere in the countryside. So here what I did, I didn't say that I live in a calm, quiet, tranquil countryside. I started with the opposite. Unlike the crowded, busy cities I live in, and like, so here I mentioned both the thing that I do and the opposite. And here it creates interest. It makes my writing even looks way better. All right. So let's go to the next one, Fatima.
Describe and reflect on how you felt, and what you saw about the day's event. Use exclam-
Exclamation.
exclamation marks and the questions mark as well. It is very important to remember that the diary you are writing about an experience you have had, trying to show about how you felt about what happened to you both at the time, and if the experience is over, how you feel about it when you look back on it.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Fatima. So as Fatima excellently said, we already spoke about what do we mean by create interest through the differences. Then next one, describe and reflect on how you felt. So do not tell me about anything without supporting it with the feeling words from page 65 that we spoke about. So try to mention how did you feel about it. The words that you would use would add depth to what you are writing, and at the same time would help you to go to the high span. Using exclamation marks and question marks would help you to make it less formal, because exclamation marks and question marks are usually being used only in informal writing. Yes, question mark could be used if it is formal in case of rhetorical question, but exclamation marks only informal. So try to use some of them while you are writing, like a couple of them, 3 of them. Do not exaggerate while you are doing. Last thing, you are writing a diary, so something happened to you. So it's really important to show about how you felt about everything. And this is the same point which was here, using words from page 65. But what I can learn from what we mentioned right now, from what excellently your friends told us, that the diary entry, the blog writing, even the review writing, we'll speak about it later again, and the report writing, whatever task comes as task 3, it's similar. The difference is that might be one less formal than the other, like for example, the blog writing, the report, I would try to make it a bit more formal, but again, it's the same marking criteria. So I need to care about the marking criteria. I need to watch out for how I should do this. Last 2 bullet points in details, and so on. Let's find out some of the examiner tips that were given by the examiners of Oxford. Muhammad Rajdan, if you don't mind. Muhammad Rashwan, sorry. Go ahead. The examiner tab here, Muhammad, it says that the 2 middle tasks.
The 2 middle tasks in the writing paper see a balance between content and language marks, and so students who give plenty of time over to why bullets often naturally write in complex sentences with accurate subordination, as well as accurate content marks.
Okay, what do you mean by this? Task 2 and task 3. The writing paper is 4 tasks. We already talked about task 1. We already spoke about informal email or letter. And today in the homework, inshallah, we'd be writing about both of them, the informal email or letter and the picture description, to remind ourselves how we do them. Task 2, which is usually informal email or letter. Task 3, which could be blog or could be review, whatsoever. Those 2 tasks, they carry a mark which would be divided between content and language. What do you mean? You would find task 2 out of 12, 6 and 6. Task 3 out of 16, 8 and 8. So you need to watch out for what is required in the marking criteria. In the marking criteria, they care about the last 2 bullet points in task 3 and the last bullet point in task 2. Try to give it some complex structure, complex sentences. This is what was mentioned. Subordination. What do you mean, Mr. by subordination? Using complex sentences. Subordination is the subordinate conjunction, like because, like if, like although. Not fanboys. Anyone else from conjunctions rather than fanboys, because fanboys, it's coordinating. It's for the compound sentence. So we need some of them to be used in task 2 and task 3, especially task 3. If you do not mind, Marwan, here, we have some points to care about while we are writing the blog or diary entry. The first one here, Marwan, remember?
Remember to read the question carefully and write to the point. Do not write a very long introduction. Keep to the main topics asked in the question.
Okay, perfect. Marwan, do you remember we said something? How do we analyze the question? I wouldn't write directly once I see the question. I need to analyze it. Do you remember, Marwan, how do we analyze it? We said there is a technique. Do you remember it? Starts with C.
Carp.
Excellent, Carp. We said C content. I would try to find out if it's task 2, for example, I have 3 bullet points. If it's task 3, I have 4 bullet points. I need to find out how would I cover them. If it's task 3, the last 2 bullet points, they should be in details. So I wouldn't write only one piece of information in front of each, but I need to write more. So here, remember that you should read the question well. In May, June 2025, Marwan, some students finished the exam, and after they finished, they said the blog was really easy, and there were no blogs in the exam. But just because they knew that every year it was blogged, so they wrote as a blog. So it means that they didn't read the question well. They just went to the bullet points and that's it. So please read the question well. So this is the first point. Another point, in the introduction doesn't have to be long. A couple of sentences are enough. Just I'm trying to captivate the reader's attention, and also I'm mentioning the topic that I'm writing about. Marwan, the next point says follow.
Follow the bullet points to prompts given below the exam question to write the content points.
Perfect. Marwan, let me ask you, if I skipped one of the bullet points, for example, task 3, it's out of 4. If I skipped one of the bullet points, would I be able to go to the highest band?
Of course not.
Of course not. And it's not the highest mark, it's the highest band, and the band has 2 marks at least, all right? So I would drop 2 marks in content. Accordingly, in language, I would drop 2 marks. So because I forgot to cover one bullet point, at least it doesn't mean that it's the highest mark I would drop. It could be more, but at least 4 marks will be dropped. So I need to watch out that each bullet point has covered and which order do I have? Because again and again and again, last 2, if it's task 3, are really important to be covered in details. Thank you so much, Marwan. So Muhammad Ali Rajdan, here, use all.
Use all the points provided in the question if it is task 3 as omitting any point lead to loss of marks. Where students miss one or more of the compulsory bullets, examiners are unable to award high marks.
Okay, we already covered this. Continue, go to the next one as well, Muhammad.
While there is no penalty at all for exceeding suggested word counts, it is worth the students adhering to them, as it can be the case that writing excessively runs the risk of making more errors.
What do you mean by this, Muhammad? Look, some students think that I should write between 70 to 90, so I shouldn't exceed 90, because if I exceed 90, I would drop marks. No, it's not the case. This was the case in only one task, and it's not in Oxford, it was in Cambridge, and it's removed since 2024. It was summary writing. If you exceeded a certain word limit, you drop marks. But here in Oxford, nothing will be penalized or would be deducted because you exceeded the word limit. You can write whatever. But the problem is what, Muhammad? Whenever you write way more, you would make more mistakes, language mistakes, or you would repeat yourself, or you use some irrelevant information. That's why we say always try to avoid exceeding by too much. But of course, to be honest, to be able to write 4 bullet points to cover them, and the last 2 in detail, so each one in paragraph, I wouldn't be able to write only 90 words. Most probably I would be exceeding. This is the point. Let's continue, Muhammad. Next one.
Yeah, write your blog diary entry in 4 or 5 paragraphs. You may not write the title.
What do you mean by this? So when I'm writing a blog, mister, do I need a title? Usually the title is there in blog. I'm talking about the normal blogs in the internet and so on. Usually there is a title, could be in the center, could be to the left. If you are writing a title, whether it's a blog or it's article or whatever, watch out that each word would start with a capital letter. So the first letter in each word has to be capitalized. This is in case if you are writing a title. Now, if I didn't write a title, would I drop a mark? I would go back to the marking criteria. Does the marking criteria ask for a title? No. Does it mean, Mr. I wouldn't write it? It's better to write it, but you will not drop a mark if you didn't write it. Clear? Next point.
Remember, you need to develop your ideas with relevant and interesting details and include a wide variety of language features.
What do you mean by wide variety of language features? Do not use only simple sentences, use compound and complex. We spoke about varying sentence openers. So do not use the same sentence opener like subject, verb, and I went, I met my father, and I, my family, and I. It's only subject and verb. Try to avoid this. We took 8 techniques of sentence openers. Try to vary. Yes, you don't have to use all of the 8 techniques, but at least try to vary 4 or 5 out of them. So sentence openers, sentence structure, vocab, some adverbs, some adjectives, and so on. So care about using these. Any point you would give, try to say why was it used. How do we develop, as we mentioned before, PEE or the point, explanation, and example. So once you give the point, say which means and give explanation, or say for example or for instance and give an example about it. Continue, Muhammad, the next point.
Try to describe rather than tell. Example, instead of saying you thought a book was great, try to explain why you enjoyed it and what you learned from it.
Okay, that's perfect. So try to describe rather than just telling. Do not just tell me about the point that you want to write, but try to describe it to make it in a better language features. Because right now it's not task 1, it's task 3. So he's not only asking about spelling and punctuation, but he's asking about wide range of vocab. So try to describe. What do you mean by try to describe rather than tell? Use some sensory language, some vocab which appeal to the 5 senses, some adjectives, and so on. All of these are included, as we mentioned before, in improving writing style. Last point for you, Muhammad, if you don't mind.
Try to question your reader and ask for their response to what you have written.
Okay, perfect. So could be done. Try to question your reader in case if it is blog writing. But in case if it's not blog writing, a diary or article or whatsoever, try to avoid asking the reader for anything. What do you mean by asking the reader? At the end of the blog, you can say, for example, this is my favorite mobile application. What about yours? This is the job that I am seeking or I'm pursuing. What about you? So this could be done in blog. But we try to avoid it in other types, especially if it's diary, because diary you are writing to yourself, so it wouldn't be really helpful to use this one there. Omar Rifai, if you don't mind, thank you so much, Muhammad Rajdan. So Omar Rifai.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the next point here. Use a variety.
Use a variety of punctuation marks and include different sentences. Structure, not just simple sentences. Check that you.
Yeah, the first point here, we already covered it. So we can go to the next one, Omar. Check that you. Yes, continue. I think he got muted, so he cannot unmute himself. Sorry. Yes, go ahead, Muhammad.
Check that you use precise and interesting vocabulary, so do not repeat the phrases.
Okay.
Use relevant idioms and effective vocabulary.
In a blog?
In a blog/diary entry, you may use contracted words. You may use contracted words. For example, doesn't, isn't, can't.
So I don't have to write the full form like do, not, is, not. I can use the contractions. That's perfect. Muhammad Zidane, we need to read here the examiner step. But in case if you do have a question, you can tell us before you read, okay? So go ahead, Muhammad.
What?
Yes, I want you to read to us this part, the examiner tab. But in case if you have a question, you can ask it before you read.
No, I want to read all.
Okay, so can you please, examiner step?
Strong and greater variety of vocab and sentence construction is helpful here. Many students had learned and accurately used the not only but also set up in previous exams. Others varied sentence lenses.
Okay, what do you mean by this, Muhammad? Excellent reading. What do you mean by this? While you are writing, it's task 3. So if task 1, I told you, please, I need just 4 simple sentences. We don't care about structure like compound or complex. No, here we care. So the topic that we would be talking about that when it comes to this point, it would be like the complex structure. We said inversion. What do you mean by inversion, Mr.? For example, not only, but also because we inverted the sentence after. Not only does it help me with X, but also it provides 1 to 3. I will show you and we take apart about the complex structure that could be used. That's perfect, my dear. It's amazing. Here, how it looks, what we do, and so on. Would have a sample because we would have also to write about it. Here, how can I write the structure? I do have, could be, by the way, it doesn't have to be 4 to 5 paragraphs. Could be 3 paragraphs only. Last session, May, June 20, no, not May, June 2025, October, November 2024. The chief examiner, the person who writes the exams of Oxford, I met him here in Jeddah and we were discussing some of the points about the task 3. He showed us a paper of a student that he wrote only 1 paragraph and he scored the full mark. It's not an invitation to write only 1 paragraph and to get the full mark, but what he wanted to say at that time, he's called Andy and Jealous. He wanted to mention that if the student covered all of the 4 bullet points and the last 2 in details, and he gave complex structure, and he varied his vocabulary and so on, if he cared about the marking criteria, we would give him the mark, whether he wrote 1 paragraph or 2 or 3 or whatever. So that's why I'm saying, yes, it's better 4 paragraphs and so on, but in case, if you can convey the message and deliver your response in 3 paragraphs, totally fine. Is it better to make it in paragraphs or just 1? No, it's better in paragraphs because we have something called the coherence. Each paragraph should have 1 idea and so on. But they don't really care about it because the marking criteria doesn't speak about it. But for yourself, do it well, right? So, Muhammad Ahmed Zidan, if you don't mind, can you continue with us here, the structure? The introduction, what should I care about here in the introduction?
An introduction that hooks the reader, draws them in, and sets up the post.
Okay, perfect.
A
So
main body of
introduction, like a couple of sentences. And here we have more than 1 technique to do. I want you to focus on me right now, and I will show you some examples about what I would say. One of the techniques to start your introduction is to start with a rhetorical question. Like, who hasn't asked himself about his dream job, for example? So it means all of people ask it themselves. So a rhetorical question, a question that doesn't require an answer. And I would give you some examples about that. So rhetorical question, or something else called list of 3. I want you to focus on this one because it's really relevant to the review writing, to the blog writing, and so on. What is list of 3? You start with 3 adjectives or 3 phrases. And those 3 adjectives or 3 phrases, you are describing the thing that you would speak about later. What do you mean, Mr.? So I would say, for example, I'm writing about my favorite city or favorite holiday destination. So I can say breathtaking, amazing, fascinating. So I started with 3 adjectives: breathtaking, amazing, fascinating. Then I would say these are the 3 words which flash in my mind when I think of Hurghada, my best destination for my holidays. What I did here, I started with 3 adjectives. Then I said these are the 3 words which flash in my mind. This technique is called list of 3. It doesn't have to be adjectives, by the way. You can use 3 phrases, but the 3 ones should be using the same structure from here to there. And this, by the way, is one of the techniques that AI are using. You would find some students who are using AI to write and so on. AI uses this technique, and it's one of the features that we spot how the students used AI while they are writing or not. Yes, do you have a question, Muhammad Zidan? Yes, Muhammad Zidan, I found that you are raising your hand. Do you have a question?
Can you show a sample of blog writing
Yes,
of
of
2
course.
students?
Yeah, of course. By the way, last time, not in the exam, of course, the session before I showed you, and I'll show you more right now, of course. We had never had any topic of writing without showing you a lot of samples to be analyzed, right? So I would show you, of course, Muhammad.
Thank you.
North. There in English EdXL, yes, Muhammad, there is EdXL. It's in there is, but what we are taking, it's Oxford. Okay, fine. It could be
No,
about
I was only asking.
yeah, there is, but actually, Muhammad, we are not caring much about it. It's, by the way, it was really hard, and they changed it last year for EdXL. They changed it in 2024. The first session was 2025 May, June. Not a lot of past papers are there for it. So yes, they made it somehow close to Oxford. They made it about themes and so on. But still not a lot of past papers, so students wouldn't be able to be prepared well for it. The curve, it's again like
Oh yeah.
the curve of Oxford, so no need for it. Here, a sample. We were asked by Zidane for a sample, and here we go with the first sample about it. So let's find out the question. If you don't mind, Iyad, write a blog post. Yes, Iyad, can you please?
Write blog post about the festival or event you have been to.
Yes, exactly.
Must
You must state.
state the name of the festival event, where the festival event took place, what did you wear, why you won there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Iyad. So as Iyad excellently told us, this was a task 3 question, 16 marks, 4 bullet points. And here it's about theme 1. So the last topic of theme 1, which is about festivals and events. We do have 4 bullet points. We said the first one, it would be just covered in one word or whatsoever. The second one, it would be where the festival or event took place. So again, it's one sentence or a couple. Then the last 2 bullet points, each one supposed to be in its own details. So what you did there, while I'm analyzing, while I'm doing the carb, I should write here like 3 pieces of information that I would do, and the same with the why. However, if you do not mind, we need to read this task, and while we are reading this, we'll try to find out what is successful and what parts we can improve or could have been done in a better way. Let's find out. The student wrote this response about it. A festival.
Festival of Joy.
I'm
As
sorry
the
for
sun.
interruption, Roger, from the beginning. I would interrupt you a lot, but just in order to make it clear. Here, when I say a festival of joy, this is a title, right?
Yes.
He centered it, which was perfect. But what should also been done here?
Increasing the font size, or
I would say capitalizing the initials. So each word should start with a capital letter. So F should be capital, O should be capital, and J should be capital. Yes, some of the prepositions like in, on, off, and so on could be skipped, but the word joy and the word festival should be capitalized like letter A. Okay? Sorry for interruption, but we have to make it clear. Go ahead.
as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the sprawling fields of Somerset, I knew I was about to embark on an unforgettable adventure. The Glastonbury Music Festival, a name synonymous with legendary performances and a vibrant is that supposed to be electric?
Yeah, here it's a mistake. That's why we say what could be even.
Electric atmosphere was finally here.
Yeah,
From
spelling
the
mistake
moment
was done here. That's why we said here and what parts could be replaced. Here, the first bullet point was the name of the festival or event. And the second bullet point where the festival or event was. Did he cover them here?
he only covered the first point.
Which is this, all right? But the other point, by the way, it was here. Yes, he might speak about it again. Fields of Somerset. Even he wrote it capital letter. Somerset, it's a city in or a countryside in England. So let's continue. From the moment.
From the moment I set foot on the festival grounds at Somerset, I was enveloped in a whirlwind of sights, sounds, and sensations. The air buzzed with the excited chatter of fellow festival goers, all eagerly anticipating the days ahead. Tents of every color dotted in the landscape, creating a makeshift village that would be our home for the next 5 days. As I make my way to the pyramid stage, the heart of Glastonbury, I was greeted by the soulful melodies of an artist I had long admired. The crowd swayed in unison, a sea of faces illuminated by the stage lights, each person lost in their musical reverie. It was at that moment when I felt the true magic of the festival. The way music could unite us all, transcending boundaries and backgrounds. I discovered new artists, danced until my feet ached, and sang along to songs that had been the soundtrack to my life.
Okay, perfect. So did he mention the third bullet point in details, what you did there? Did he?
Yes.
Yes, even here he spoke. And look, that's what we meant. While you are writing, do not just list, do not just say, but try to describe what you are saying. He wasn't just saying that he danced, but he said, I discovered in your arts danced until my feet ached. So he's getting you even to feel what he is saying. The word ached here, it's a sensory language that gets you to feel what he's saying. Next paragraph, it's supposed to be the last one we wanted.
We wanted to unwind after an exhausting session of examination, and all of us felt what could be better than music. This was the best way to share stories and laughter and feel an undeniable connection to the strangers beside us. Glastonbury was more than just a music festival, it was a celebration of life, creativity, and community. As I walked away from the fields, I knew that the spirit of Glastonbury would stay with me, a symphony of memories that I could carry in my heart until the next time I return.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Roger. So all of the 4 bullet points are covered. The first 2 bullet points, they do not need much of details. But Mister, if I can't write a piece of writing in details like these and vocabulary like this, does it mean that I wouldn't be able to get the full mark? No, you can get the full mark. Just again here, while I'm giving you, I'm trying to give you some of the samples which enrich your vocabulary. So you might ask yourself, what does this word mean? So I would go and I would learn it and so on. So this is for improving your level. Yes, some of them we try to make in a way to find mistakes, like here, for example, the punctuation, the spelling, or whatsoever, to help you again. But if you didn't write in this level, it doesn't mean that you cannot get the full mark. You can go for the full mark. Full mark, it's related to the marking criteria. Have you delivered what was asked for in the marking criteria or not? This is just a sample. Here, while you are answering this today with yourself in page 16, 17, you need to find out some of the phrases or some of the vocabulary that were new to you. Yes, of course, what is new to Muhammad Rajdan would be different from what is new to Muhammad Rashwan. So each one would find the ones that he found could be really helpful. I might use them, adapt them in my own writing later on, and write them in this area. And later, while you are writing, try to use some of these techniques. Not only this sample, but we have more. And here, this is the one that I told you I would show you about it more. Muhammad Rashwan, here we do have a question. And this question, we do have 2 responses, A and B. So this question, Muhammad, we would try to read both of the questions and would try to find out which is better, A or B, and why. You'd be reading the question and letter A. Then we'd get someone to read letter B. So if you do not mind, Muhammad.
Write a diary or blog entry about how you celebrated your last birthday. You must refer to your age, where you were, what you did, the people who were with you. Your diary or blog entry should be between 70 and 90 words.
Okay, so here, is it task 3 or 4, Muhammad?
Task 3.
Of course, we have 4 bullet points. It's out of 16 and so on, all right? So let's continue here. We do have a student here, letter A, give us a response, then letter B. Look here, Muhammad, this is the technique that I was just talking about, the list of 3. So you can start, as we mentioned, with rhetorical question or list of 3. There are another 2 techniques, one of them like to give a famous quote. For example, practice makes perfect. So this is a famous quote being used. Or you can use a fact, like one of the 7 wonders of the world. The Egyptian pyramids stand for more than 3,000 years or whatsoever. So it could be one of the famous facts. It depends on the question, of course. So here, the student found that the question was about a celebration, how he celebrated birthday. So he wanted to use list of 3. List of 3 for task 3 is a really good technique, but it's not a must, of course. Let's find out how he did it. Can you, Muhammad?
phenomenal, dazzling, and heartwarming. Best simply describing the extraordinary 17th birthday party I had. I've always loved the pictures,
Picturesque.
natural
Picturesque,
view,
it's an adjective.
uh,
It means like it's an
picturesque,
amazing
natural
till the way
views.
that you need to take a picture of it.
I've always loved the picturesque, natural views, and thanks to my mom, the party was held in a small garden that bloomed with spring roses and flowers near the sparkling river at the edge of my city.
Okay, perfect.
As
So here, before we go any further, Muhammad, we'd like to find out one of the common mistakes for students while they are writing a list of three. They write list of three, then they put full stop. It would be a mistake, punctuation mistake. What we can use, you would use a dash. Why not comma? Because I already used commas between the list of three. So a comma here would be confusing. So I would use a dash and I would continue with small letter. So best simply describe or are the words which come to my mind or flash in my mind when I think of. So avoid using here full stop or comma or whatsoever. Okay. Then here the first point, your age and where you were. Muhammad, did he cover the first bullet point in the introduction?
no,
Didn't he say
wait, show me
17th
the first
birthday?
1 minute, 1 minute. Just show me.
Okay. The question was your
Your
age.
age, yeah. He
So he
covered it.
covered it or not?
He covered it, yeah.
Did we need in the introduction, Muhammad, to write a paragraph of 6 sentences?
Again?
Did we need in the introduction to write a paragraph of 6 sentences?
No,
Just
just
simple one. Look here, it was just one
yeah.
sentence. Yes, it's
Yeah.
not simple sentence, but it's one sentence. So yes, you can write it one or a couple of sentences as it's the introduction. But body one and body two, try to avoid one sentence paragraphs, okay? Where you were, Muhammad continued by saying, here in the second part of the paragraph, the party was held in a small garden that bloomed with it. So did he cover the second bullet point or not?
Yes, covered.
Do we need details for the first two bullet points, Muhammad?
No.
Okay, let's find out the third one, what you did, and the last one, who attended. Go ahead.
As the sun hid behind the horizon, the celebration was unleashed. My closest friends, parents, and most cherished people were dancing, talking, and laughing. Everyone was taking pictures to save the memorable night and to probably have a look back one and have a look back one day and laugh at the sight of my father smashing a vanilla frosted cake into my face, which I have to admit was quite funny. The dancing and celebration lasted for God knows how long. Everyone was so consumed in having fun that we lost track on time.
Okay, that's perfect. So here, did he go through the third point in details or not? What you did?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Last paragraph. As the music's volume.
As the music volume dropped and the cacophony of voices faded to a soothing silence, I felt the happiness this night had imprinted on my heart and filled it to bursting.
Okay, perfect. So here he's just ending the one. Fourth bullet point, even he covered it here when he said my close friends, parents, and most cherished people were dancing, talking. So here he covered the last bullet point, the people who were there. Thank you so much, Muhammad. Let's find another sample that was written about the same question here and find out which one would be better and why. Muhammad Rajdani, if you do not mind, can you please? Reem, I know that you are a bit
Yes.
sick, so you will not be able to read, so I'm avoiding to ask you to. Go ahead, Muhammad.
I'm sitting patiently in the comfort of waiting for my parents to remember their eldest daughter's 15th birthday without offering hints. As they say, I watched pot never boils. Seconds passed like minutes and minutes stretched to hours without any acknowledgement of my birthday.
Okay, perfect. So he's just trying to create interest. He's saying no one told me about it. But let me ask you, did he mention the first bullet point? How old was he?
15.
Yeah, so he covered the first bullet point, and he's trying to create some interest while he's giving. So let's go to find out would he cover the second one or not. So at 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m., I decided that I have had enough and headed to the kitchen to bake a cake all for myself. My heart skipped a beat when my mom rushed into the kitchen telling me that we have got guests on the way. Therefore, I had to push away my plans of baking. How convenient.
Okay, so here he started to tell us about a place, kitchen, or whatsoever to bake a cake, all for myself. My heart skipped a beat, so he's trying to use some idioms here in order to go for the high spans of language. When my mom rushed into the kitchen telling me that we have got guests on the way, therefore some linking words are being used, and he's putting full stop before capital letter comma after. I had to push away my plans of baking. How convenient. Let's continue. At this point, Muhammad Rajdan,
At this point, I was unable to mask my irritation anymore. Knocks on the door announced the presence of guests, who
present.
turned out to be my aunt, uncle, and some of my close friends. Undeniably, I was astounded by how I didn't see that coming. Soon we all sat together, bursting with laughter and at the very awkward memories of my 15 years of life. The chocolate birthday cake seemed to fill all the cracks in my heart.
But did he cover the third and the last bullet points, like who came and what they were doing or not?
Now,
Yeah, the last two bullet points, one of them was what you did, and the last one who attended. So did he cover both of them or not?
yes.
Okay, let's continue the last paragraph.
The most memorable aspect was the gifts. All my anticipated reads and books that I would have offered a limb to own. My heart was soaring with joy. It is truly amazing how such a simple sentiment can hold such an effect on a person.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much. So, if you do not mind, Yusuf, can you tell me which one you like? Thank you so much, Muhammad. Which one you liked more, the first or the second, student A or student B, and why?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, I'm asking you, Yusuf, which one did you like more, the first sample or the second sample, and why?
I like the first sample
Yes, can you tell me why?
because it have more details.
So detailed more is some of the vocab. Okay, thank you. Let's find out, Zidane, what do you think, Muhammad? Thank you, Yusuf.
Like I'm not confused, but I feel the first one.
The first one is better. You liked the way of starting with the list of three: phenomenal, dazzling, and
Yes.
hardcore, or because your friend who read it. Okay, perfect,
No,
Muhammad.
no, 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 no,
I'm
no.
just kidding. I know, of course. Let's go to the next one, Marwan. Which one do you think, Marwan, is better and why?
I think first one because it has a lot of complex sentence and it is better for the exam.
Okay, that's perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much. So, to be honest, both of them were perfect pieces of writing. Yes, some people might enjoy the first one, as your friends mentioned before. They enjoyed the first one. They found that it was simpler and it conveyed all of the details. So, I do not need to write all what was mentioned in the second one because the second one took more vocabulary and so on. Here, the first one, it was more captivating. The technique was used in the introduction. The list of three was really relevant. But again, while they are giving the mark, they will not drop a mark because you wrote more or whatsoever. Both of them were perfect pieces. Why did I mention both of them? Because from time to time, while students are reading and studying, they might like a phrase from here, a sentence from there, might be helpful to them while they are writing later on in their mark. Just let me ask you, what do you think, Hajar, the mark would be for the first one out of 16 and for the second one? Do you remember the marking criteria that we give the marking accordingly, Hajar? I think he got muted again.
8 for content and 8 for language.
Yes, exactly. And we said content, all of the 4 bullet points are covered, no communication delay. And for content, we said relevant response as well and detail. For the language, we said wide range of effective vocab, wide range of effective structure, and we said that no spelling or punctuation mistakes. So what do you think for each one of them?
Um, Candidate A was more of like emotional, and candidate
Yeah,
B was
strong.
more
Yeah.
factual with it.
A strong one.
So
Mm.
honestly, they're kind of the same, but maybe there's slight difference in language.
Mhm.
Candidate B was a bit better.
Mhm.
So candidate A is 15 and candidate B is also 15, but if I had the choice to give half mark, I'd give 15 and a half for candidate B.
I would say two things here. I liked your response, but I want to say two things. If a student give a good response and another student give a perfect response, but the student who gave the good response gave it according to the marking criteria. Would I deduct from the good student because there is another one perfect, or would I give both of them the full mark? The question is for you, Hajar, and for all of you, of course. What do you think?
Mm,
What is the agreement between the board, between Oxford examiners, and between the student? That no other student would write better than you, or you would write according to the marking criteria?
to the marking.
Exactly. But do you find mistakes according to the marking criteria for the first or the second?
Not much.
Not much. Did you find a few? I don't think so, right? If you found, you might spot and tell us. Again, both of them were perfect ones, but they are different ones. Another point that I wanted to mention, my dear, in IGCSE, whether Cambridge, Oxford, edicts or whatsoever, we don't have halves at all. That's why even Hajar excellently while she was saying, if she said, if I can give half or whatsoever. But of course, we don't have halves at all. Thank you so much for this, my dear. Right now, your classwork, I want you to look at this one. We wrote it as a diary entry, although here it's written blog or diary entry, but the sample was written as a diary. That's why we said dear diary. To tell you that it's the same, just the differences are about the structure. How would you start? And we ended like the informal email or letter. Here, this one is written, but I want you to find the order, like 3, 2, 4, 1, or whatsoever. Please do not just give the order from the first sentence, read it all, and then send me the order on chat individually, like privately between you and I, right? So this one, you would find it on page 20 on the notes that you have. Muhammad Ahmed Zidane is asking for a bad sample. We already had, by the way, Muhammad. There was one in last session when we were trying to find which one is better, and we had a bad sample. One of them scored 9, I think. So in the notes you would find this. I got music. Sorry. So please send me once you finish this task. What order do you think would be there? So Muhammad Ashwan. So Muhammad Ashwan, I would just ask you a question here. What technique in the introduction was used? Rhetorical question or which technique?
Like the three words in the beginning.
It's called list of three.
List of them.
Excellent. Good job. I agreed with you, Amr Rifai. Both of them took the fall at that time. So, Muhammad Zidane sent. Okay. Good, Zidane. Okay. Imran. Fatima. Rima, I'm still waiting for your answer. Same, Hajar. Still waiting. Oh, Hajar already sent it. Okay, yet. But yet I want you to recheck it again. I don't think you got the correct order. So check it again. Try to find out yet where could be the introduction, which paragraph could it be? Kareem, I received it. You would find some scenes went with different ones. So some students said that most of scenes or all of scenes agreed that this is the first one. Fascinating, spectacular, and magnificent. These are the words that simply describe my sister's extraordinary wedding. The long-awaited wedding. It was celebrated in Jeddah at Magdi Hall on 17th November 2022 at 7 p.m. And this was the first and the second bullet point. The people who were with you. All of since most of them agreed that this is number two. The hall was crowded with our relatives and friends, and everybody was overwhelmed with joy. The mesmerizing occasion and the joy-filled face of my sister were a feast for the senses. I couldn't believe that she would get such a brighter glow. Here we do have what you did and how you felt. So these are the differences. Here you would find this is how you felt. That's why this is number 4 and this is number 3. Only like a couple or 3 students switch these ones, right? This is the one, and here because it is a diary, as we mentioned, we started with Dear Diary. Look, if you are writing Dear Diary, Dear D capital and Diary D capital, right? And when it comes to how you end it with love and your name, the first letter is capitalized. This is for how it looks like. After this, my dear, after this diary, you would find here we give some ideas about how you can write in case if the question came about a description to describe something and so on. Again, it's the 4 bullet points that you have. If it came about a person, for example, it came before, it was task 4 about write about a person who influences you. So the person who inspires you. And here some students wrote about their parents, one of their parents, some wrote about one of their teachers, or even some wrote about the prophet and so on. So you can pick a person and write about him or about her. In case if it's task 3, you have 4 bullet points, so you need to cover. If it's task 4, so he would give you 2 bullet points. Those ones are not a must. So you do not have to cover them. But you need just to be sure. So Muhammad Rajdani, yes, we said it's 2413. So they are not a must. But it's better if you use the first one in body 1 and the last one in body 2. And here the question was based on task 4. Task 4, as we spoke about before, it's 23 marks. So it's not 16. So it's not 8 marks for language, they are 15 marks for language. So you need to watch out how to avoid dropping any marks of these. So here, write a blog or diary entry about a person who has inspired you. You could explain what speciality this person has, why they are important to you. And these are the 2 bullet points that you don't have to cover. That's why he didn't say you must, he said you could. Should I use them, Mr. or not? My advice is to use the first one in body 1 and give it details, of course. It has to be sophisticated structure and vocab. And this in body 2. And what about the introduction? And what about the conclusion? So introduction, you can use list of 3 and then the topic sentence. And the conclusion, we would show you some of the ways we can do. Here, it is a sample about 23 marks. You would find that first bullet point was covered here, the second was later, and the conclusion is just 1 sentence, and the introduction is another 2 or couple of sentences. If you do not mind, can you, Omar Rifai, start the sample here? Again, if it's task 3, it's not a must to cover all of the bullet points or to cover them, but it's better to use them.
Can I start?
Yes, go ahead. The greatest.
My inspiration in life. The greatest motivation in my life is, in all honesty, my family. And the individual I respect the most is my dad. He is the most I look up to when I need help. His characteristics: dedicated, nature, discipline, and compassion inspire me a great deal. I inspire to work and become like him, generally in my life.
I would stop you here. I would continue, Omar, but just a minute here. I want to show you that even list of 3 could be used not in the in the first sentence. Could be used later. Could be used even in the body. So here he used dedicated nature, discipline, and the compassion in between. And it is accepted as list of 3 for characteristics. So here it's just the introduction. He just told us about who is the person, and he gave us a hint about him. Body 1, my dad.
My dad has a positive routine of reading books at whatever point. He is free from his office work. He has his own library of books. My dad consistently instructs us to never get scared of my circumstance throughout everyday life. He has a lot of assumptions for me and my sister. The way he deals with each problem in life gives me incredible motivation. When I was sick and was unable to plan well for my tests, I was greatly stressed. However, my dad motivated me to do my best, and this helped me to succeed. He has supported me at whatever point, and I have been in any unpleasant circumstance. The manner in which my dad battled in his life to become independent urges me to accomplish something important in my life, so I can make my dad proud of me. I'm exceptionally honored to have my dad in my life as my dearest companion and a credible source of motivation to me.
Okay, that's perfect. So look here, my dear, this is a sample. It's not using the same vocab that like the ones before, although it's task 4, but again, it went for the full mark 23 out of 23. Task 4, he doesn't get you to cover specific bullet points, but he cares about language much. So do you have varied sentence structure, vocabulary, which is advanced, and so on and so forth. My dear students, I want to say that inshallah we will try to have another class to compensate the one of the test last week. It would be during this week if you weren't able to attend. So of course the video would be uploaded, but try to attend. Homework, my dear, should be submitted on Tuesday. I'll be contacting parents for this on Wednesday for any student, Wednesday morning for a student who didn't submit, because it would be really hard to check later, because the time we do have specific times for each group to be checking and so on. So homework should be submitted on Tuesday. Again, I'm appreciating those who always submit on Tuesday, and I mentioned some names like Muhammad Rajdi and more. So it's appreciated, but be sure that it is submitted on Tuesday. We would have another class, as I told you, inshallah, during this week. What else? We would finish the review, the blog writing this week, inshallah. We need to discuss some of the answers of the test. I know that I already submitted to you the mark scheme, but in case, if you do have still a question, you do not understand why I didn't do it well or whatsoever, you can ask. You do have my WhatsApp account. You can send me messages in case if you wanted to be during the next class, like for 15 minutes to discuss the answers, it's totally fine. Yes, Yusuf?
What's the homework?
The homework would be a blog writing to be written. Also, we do have informal email letter and picture description. What I would do, I would send you the picture description and the informal email letter right away after the class, and this one to be submitted on Tuesday, and the other one would be given on Tuesday, and it should be submitted on the weekend, so I can check both of you. What I would give right now, it would be the picture description, informal email letter. The blog, I would keep it till we finish the blog, inshallah, next class, which most probably would be on Wednesday. Okay? Any other questions, my dear? Yes, Omar Rifai?
Mr. Can you, I'm clear what the homework was. Can you just send the homework on the group?
Right away, once we finish the class, you would find the homework is sent to the group. Again, it has to be submitted back on Tuesday. Okay. Again, every session we would speak about the best performance of the homework of the previous class. And again and again and again, thank you, Hajar, for all of the good job. By the way, you scored the top mark, not only in this group, but on the other groups as well. Good job. Any questions? Thank you so much. It was nice being with you and looking forward to meeting you next session. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.